Peace, family. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods, peace to the earths, and all of the righteous families of the planet. It's your big brother Fahiym, back once again with another presentation, Bill. First off, I want to say, I appreciate it and thank you, shukran laka, to my Muslim brethren, Brother Ahmed, from bringing me the beautiful, crown or whatever, Pakistani, type kufi or whatever, thank you, brother. I appreciate that, alhamdulillah, Today I want to deal with a subject that's a very intense, I must say, subject, and a few people have been asking me for some time now to, deal with this subject matter. The subject I want to deal with today is called, Is the Black Woman a God? Cee-I-Power-Her. Is the black woman a God? Keyword, a God. Cee-I-Power-Her. Cee-I-Power-Her. We understand that within this universe that we live in this physical reality that we live in, a cipher is broken down into three parts. We got 120 degrees of knowledge, 120 degrees of wisdom, and 120 degrees of understanding, which makes up and completes your circumference or your circle of existence. So everything that exists to you is within your cipher. We're not going to go into all of the other teachings about outside of the cipher and, 720 and, like I hear some of these, teachings. We're going to keep it basic. We are dealing with what is within the cipher or circumference of our existence. And in that cipher is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We say that the black man represents the knowledge, right? The black female represents the wisdom. And the black child represents the divine understanding. He's the best part. The children or the babies are the best part because they are basically really the knowledge and the wisdom joined together, and now presented to the world, So in this teaching, I just want to talk about, some of the truths, the known truths that we know today as scientists, so that the fantastic foolishness can be, dispelled from among our people. The black woman is a God. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said that the black man is the God. Definite article, the. The black man is the God, and he says the black woman she's a God because she's the second self. She's the second in study of the black man, the original man. So there's not one that preceded the other. The black man was walking the earth first and then he decided to create the woman, or the woman was walking the earth first and then she decided to create the man. And there's no scientific teaching that you can bring that would even show and prove that type of foolishness. So we need to dispel all of that madness today, Some of the founders of these teachings, number one was Dr. York. I'm sure many of you have heard of Dr. York before. Dr. York was the one who came in and poisoned our people with this fantastic foolishness. Because Dr. York initially started off in the Nation of Islam as one of the students of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But like others, he eventually broke off from the nation and disconnected himself from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And now he sought to start his own movement or his own organization, and we know the rest is history. You know, when he was with the Ansar Allah community, he was more on the Islamic teaching and more in accord with what the messenger said. But after a while, he just went shot far left. Changed his name. You know, first he was calling himself, you know, he took Master Fard Muhammad's name, you know, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Master Fard Muhammad's name. Master Fard Muhammad is the Mahdi. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Messiah. You know, he took their names and, you know, he started calling himself, you know, the Imam Al-Mahdi, Al-Hadi, you know, the guy, he's the guide now. You know, all of this crazy stuff that, you know, our people just took on face value and ended up ultimately being poisoned by this individual. You know, but he was one of the forerunners in that teaching that the black woman is God. You know, teaching that in the bone marrow, the woman can get sperm. She doesn't need a man because she can produce her own sperm from her bone marrow, and then, you know, it can be injected into her vaginal tract, and then she, you know, crazy stuff, man, crazy stuff. You know, another forerunner in that teaching is another individual that I'm sure many in the conscious community have heard about, Dr. Delbert Blair. He's another individual. Dr. Ma'at, peace to my sister, Dr. Ma'at. You know, I told you, I got you, sister. I'm you know, just adding on to your bill, because the sister did a beautiful bill, is the black woman God. You know, and I told her I was going to follow up with a presentation on what she taught, because I thought that the knowledge and the scientific information that she gave was so important, but so overlooked at the same time that, you know, it needs to be, you know, retaught, if you will. But what I want to do is just reteach that and introduce or reintroduce some of those facts that the sister laid down. But not only that, I want to come from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Father. Because at the end of the day, we're 5%ers. This is a 5% channel. So we deal with what the messenger and the Father taught us. Because as we know, their teachings, everything runs through there first before it's taken on face value. So Dr. Delbert Blair did a lecture back in 1994 entitled, "The Black Woman is God." You know, and he looked at the universe and stuff, and he said, you know, everything in the universe is feminine, has a feminine principle, feminine aspect to it. Even the sun, moon, and the stars, everything. And he's right at the end of the day. Because even though as 5%ers or in the Nation of Islam, we say that the sun represents the Asiatic black man, the moon or the earth represents the Asiatic black woman, and the stars represent the nation or the Asiatic black child. At the same time, we know that in our universe, the sun, that word sun, al-shams, when we look at the Arabic, al-shams, we see the feminine in it now. This is what Arabic is a mathematical language. So it's going to give you the root, and it's going to give you the understanding of what Allah, most glorified and exalted, is trying to convey. So the word al-shams is a feminine word. Al-qamar is a feminine word. Al-ardu is a feminine word and feminine principles, the earth. Al-najm, the stars, same thing. All of these have feminine principles and aspects when we look at the root meaning of the word. So the universe in itself is always pregnant, because the universe is always spiraling out new life into our ocular view that we can see with our two physical eyes now. 90% of this universe is unseen material, unseen matter that can't be seen with the physical eye. The third eye is needed. The real eye is needed. Peace to the God Bilal too, my God brother. You know, that was a beautiful teaching you gave. You know, talking about that. about the two physical eyes and the real eye, you know. But in ocular view, we see stuff spiraling into existence all the time. So the universe is always pregnant with life, as the black woman. When stuff spirals out into existence, now it takes on a course of study. The universe in itself seeded the planets, these ancestral autosomes. In science, we see that seeded the planet. Scientists say over 300 million years ago, but of course we know as 5%ers, we go back even past that. Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad went past the millions, went past the billions, he was way into the trillions. So we know that trillions of years now, these ancestral autosomes which seeded the planet were mammals, mammal species that were both male and female. There was no one that came first and then here comes the other one right behind them. And no, you will not find any scientific teaching that states such foolishness. Man and woman were created in physical form, in physical reality at the same damn time. However, as 5%ers, we say that the black woman is secondary but most necessary in the production of the Asiatic black child. So we say she's secondary but most necessary. Ooh. Ooh, a lot of women didn't like that. The sisters don't like that. You know, they look at it as some sort of male chauvinist teaching, you know. But the sisters have to understand what we're saying is that we were both created from a single essence in pairs, male, female. But as we popped out of our cocoons, after we popped out of our shells, immediately we began to observe our surroundings. The black woman, because she is a being of emotion, she began to look around and marvel at creation and what was around her. Wow, look at the stars. They're so beautiful and bright. Wow, look at the waterfalls. That's so beautiful. Wow, look at the you know, from far away, of course. Wow, look at the volcanoes erupt. Wow, that's beautiful. Wow, look at this. Wow, look at that. Meanwhile, the original man, when we popped out of our cocoon or our shell, we initially began to look within ourselves and study what was in ourselves first. So this is the reason why Allah, God, is self-created, self-taught. We looked within ourselves and began to study ourselves. That was the first act of study. The messenger said that the original man did. He conducted the first act of study, an act of experiment on himself. After that, now he began to look. But before he looked out into creation and began to marvel at all of the rest of creation, he also looked within himself and he realized that, hold on, I got another self in me. There's a second self. He realized the black woman or the black female. So within himself, he noticed that there was a second self in him. So he began teaching the black woman, who was already here along with him. But she was not teaching herself because she's emotional, whereas he's logical. Logic deals with the mathematics. He has to have some sort of understanding, an explanation as to what is going on. Because before we even were created in human bodily form, the original man in his mind was able to look and see himself, see his woman, see his lower nature. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the black man is the God. The black woman is a God. and the white man is a God. The white man is a God, but he's only a God for just a short period of time. Just a short period of time. After 6,000 years, that's it. His God thing is over. In the 7,000th year, now he's removed from that position. The black woman is a God, but only for a short time. During her 9 months of gestation, and after the baby's born out of the mother's womb, that's the only God you know. You don't know nothing about no God or no mystery God. Or remember, the mystery God is a concept, it's a teaching. So the baby hasn't had time yet to pick up a book or go to the church and hear this teaching and understand it and propagate that. No. When a baby is crying, which is its prayer, when a baby is crying because they're hungry, the baby's not crying for no mystery God. Who's the baby crying in hopes that will get up and come to its aid? Not the father, the mother. Because that's the only God you know when you were first born into physical existence. Your mother. That's it. So these natural autosomes, science says the X and the Y chromosome came from. This is where they came from. It is not in the X chromosome, which was discovered back in the late 1890s, and Dr. Ma'at, I got you, sister. Like I said, I mean, we're gonna get rid of this fantastic foolishness. We're gonna get these, pseudo teachings out of here. The sister gave, like I said, a beautiful lecture in Bill on that teaching. And I just believe it was so overlooked. But the sister said that the Barclay gland in the female doesn't produce sperm. And I did the research on that. She's right and exact on that. So where did Dr. Delbert Blair get this? Where do all these other pseudoscientists within the scientific community, or the conscious community rather, where do they get this from? We all began as precarious beings. Males have the SRY gene. This is where your testicles, this is what gives us testes. The X chromosome was discovered by a scientist. And the scientists didn't really understand fully its aim and function, or what to even call it. So he just put an X on it and just said, I'm going to call it the X chromosome. Because in science, X means something unknown in mathematics. Just like in our supreme mathematics, X means unknown. In the mathematics of Islam, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we give the X at the end of your last name because it's unknown of what your family's last name was. We don't know, so it's unknown. Later on, maybe a decade or so later, a female scientist comes and she discovers the Y chromosome. And when she discovers it, she really didn't, again, fully understand its function in totality of what it was created to do. But she understood that it was one of our chromosomes, and so she just basically followed suit. Since he said that was the X chromosome, she just said, well, you know what? I'm going to call this the Y chromosome. And there you have your names. The X and the Y chromosome. So where do brothers get this teaching now? Well, I know where they get it from. This, this Dr. York madness about, it was an X chromosome, and then one of the legs broke off of the X, and it made it a Y, and that's how we get the, And you niggas is crazy for keeping that teaching alive. That man is somewhere in prison, rotten, with his pseudo-false teaching. And you niggas are keeping that alive. You haven't even went and done the adequate research to see if what he was saying was right and exact or not. And that's sad. That really is sad.